The Social Dilemma is a 2020 documentary film made and released by Netflix. It's directed by Jeff Orlowski. It just came out this summer during the pandemic and is a pretty apocalyptic look at social media. It's a documentary, so you can't really spoil it to a certain extent, although I am going to make a second, more in-depth, we'll say, quote, quote, spoiler video after this. This is the initial review, first review on my channel. Hey, the basic premise of the film is that social media is destroying the world because it's a for-profit tech business with unlimited funds. It's enjoyable, but there is this weird made by Netflix vibe that I'm really beginning to feel in a lot of their work. This documentary really wants to be slick, but it's actually kind of corny in my opinion. Netflix or the filmmakers, whoever, someone made this really conscious decision to construct the film dually, one force being like interviews, narration, and case studies, the other being this like film within a film that reflects the way social media affects basically this like nondescript family. There's a really amazing part when the son gets radicalized as an extreme centrist because they don't want to say he's a leftist or a rightist, which I actually really enjoyed from a cinematic perspective for what they were trying to achieve. It's clever, even though it's stupid. The majority of the interviewees are ex-Silicon Valley professionals who have left because of this social dilemma that is social media's ability to manipulate our attention, because in the social media game, like, we are the product and ad companies are the consumers. Your timeline can manipulate the different things that you see, the different ways that you feel. A point in it is fake news being more interesting than real news. It touches on how social media affects your mental state. It basically feels like this apology documentary from a class of Dr. Frankensteins to the world for the fact that they collectively made this monster, released it on the world, and now the genie can't be put back in the bottle. What I love about this documentary is the fact that it's like the definition of not being able to say the quiet part loud. Everybody's like, what's the social dilemma? And they dance around this idea. It's like, the social dilemma is the fact that there is a financial incentive for social media to manipulate you, the consumer, and that's just making it so much harder to live in the world. They never actually address the idea that the problem is capitalism and that any product will inherently become manipulative in a capitalist society. You could make this exact same documentary, but it's about like cars in the 1940s and the creation of a national highway system in cities at the cost of public transportation systems, because the car lobby was more powerful than the public transportation lobby, which is ultimately why Los Angeles doesn't have a comprehensive public transportation system now, but they did in 1942. Google the red car, it's a thing. In the 1940s, you could get from downtown LA to Long Beach on a train. It was chill as fuck. Should you watch this? I would say yes. This is actually an interesting documentary that makes some intelligent points. It is speaking to a thing that's real in society. Like social media does affect us. Social media is fucking up our brains. You, the viewer, get to make up your own decision ultimately about how you feel about these things, but it's a signal, which I appreciated. It is potentially a wake up to the way that financial markets affect our lives. What is the function of a documentary, right? The function of a documentary is to bring an idea onto your radar. And I think this does a solid job about this. If you're like someone who's extremely online, I would say the majority of these issues like aren't going to be a surprise. But I also understand that the majority of Netflix customers are just average people who are looking for something to watch. The majority of people in the United States and the world don't just like sit around all day, like contemplating the superstructures at play and the ways in which they affect us. There's like something about humanity where like we just want to be okay and we just want to do our shit. If this documentary is any sort of a wake-up call to that, then it has been effective despite some of its failings. And I'm not trying to say that it's a failure at all. I actually really enjoyed it, although while watching it, I did have like my own personal narrative of asking like, do I like this? Is this a good documentary? Or is this stupid? Is this dumb? Is this just people trying to apologize to society for the fact that they think they've broken it? Does that even matter? These are all valid questions. Either way, just trying to say I enjoyed. So I would make a suggestion to watch this. Like this is ostensibly like good and interesting. If you're really interested, like analyze it, you know. I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this on their phones being a little weirded out by it, which is kind of funny and maybe like pertinent. There's so much casual viewership. Social media as this bite-sized distractor makes passive viewership so easy and so knee-jerk, like we don't even think about it. I'm addicted to my phone. Try sitting still and doing something for 5 minutes without just turning over your phone to like see if there's some there for you, some, you know, a little bell or whistle to give you a dopamine shot in your brain. I definitely experience it. But yeah, I would say watch it and do your best to have an opinion. Think critically about it. Also, because this video very much does have an agenda. Its agenda is also a little ironic due to the fact that Netflix, a not quite social media company, but a company that is vying for your attention, is creating this product that is critical of basically its own business or all these like competitors. Maybe the rub is that Netflix is not technically a social media company, and the problem is that everyone is so inundated with social media and not actually paying attention to Netflix. Either way, there are so many tinfoil hats to put on in the world if you want to. But yeah, there's at least something inherently funny about the larger implications of a company like Netflix creating a documentary like this, which is critical of tech. But also good for them. Yeah, I'm glad that they made it. Like be critical of yourself. These companies absolutely should be. It's currently streaming on Netflix, and check it out.